Wildfire season in San Diego is not just a season anymore, it's year-round. Today, two veterans from San Diego Fire Rescue are here to make sure you're ready before the next one sparks. I'm Abbie Black. This is The Backstory. Thank you for joining us today. We're talking about fire preparedness, but focusing more on people and what they may not know when it's time to go. You've seen the devastation. You've heard from survivors what they wished they did. And I think it's important that we cover some musts here. I think a lot of people know, they think they're prepared, but you guys know after the fact, maybe some people said, gosh, I wish I would have done this. Sure. We used to think that fire season was summer, fall, Santa Ana winds, but we've seen some of California's most devastating fires in December and January. But first, let me welcome you. So thank you so much for joining us, Captain Jason Shanley and Captain Eric Faulk. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, Abbie. I appreciate you, as always.
And happy to be here.
And, like I said, I think when we think wildfire preparedness, I think a lot of people think, okay, I know I have my go bags, I have this, I have that. But there's a lot of nuances that go with this that people need to be prepared. But why is it now that we need to be prepared year-round?
Yeah, well, we don't really have a fire season anymore. I remember it's kind of strange to me when I first came on the job almost 26 years ago that our fire season kind of started in October. That was strange to me. I didn't understand weather and all those kinds of things. I always thought that the fire season would be in the summer. And now, just because of the weather changing, it's hotter more. The fuels that we have, which are the vegetation and stuff, is drier. We're having wind events, Santa Ana winds. And then also sometimes it's just people not being aware of how fires are started and what they can do to prevent fires from starting. So there's just a ton of factors that come into it. And so now we don't have a fire season. Fire season is 365 days a year, unfortunately, in California.
And with that, with the staffing, do you guys have to move around staffing? I mean, when there were seasons, you probably had part-timers, but now is it just like an on-call basis?
Yeah, well, we've never had part-time people per se, but there are times when we'll do what's called an upstaff. So all the stations will be filled, and then at the fire chief's discretion, other brush rigs or engine companies would be staffed with people on an overtime basis and pre-positioned in places around the county to be able to get to those fires immediately when they start. We saw in the last year, Chief Logan did that, and we saw some incredible stops to some fires that would have been devastating had we not had those pre-positioned units there to be able to get there. That was their sole purpose, was to, if a fire started, to go. And so it's up to our leadership to decide when and where those are placed. But we saw last year that they absolutely made a dramatic effect on these fires.
And I'm thinking we're seeing it year after year, especially when we think about the Witch Creek fire, the Cedar fires, how much we've grown since then and got better as people, but as firefighters as well. I always want to say knock on wood, because when we see some of these other devastating fires throughout the country, but especially in our state, sure, I think, gosh, when there's a fire that breaks out in San Diego, we are on it. It's done. It's over. Fortunately, we have not faced that mass devastation like others throughout the state. Why do you think that is?
I think we're just really prepared. We train the public. There's, different apps out there like Alert San Diego, Ready, Set, Go. We can go to the San Diego Fire website, and it tells the public how to prevent fires from getting to their home, right? And part of it is making sure they have defensible space, making sure that they're aware, making sure that they download the right apps, and like I said, for us, it's all about educating the public. And then when that incident happens, our fire crews are ready. We train year-round for these type of fires. And again, we're a professional fire department. We work with many of the other agencies well. We have helicopter resources, both from our department and others. So it's a great team in the county of really, making sure that these fires don't get bigger.
Right. You guys have these massive drills. I've been to them before that incorporate so many different agencies throughout the county and even the border as well, with police, with law enforcement, with fire. And it's incredible to watch. But it's probably that type of training that also helps, because a wildfire just doesn't stay in one city, in one jurisdiction.
And you're absolutely right. The county wildland drill is something that we do every single year. And for us, thankfully, more so now, as Captain Faulk just said, we work so well with all the other agencies within the county. One thing I really love is that we're definitely our own department, but we don't operate alone. We have really, really incredible relationships with the neighboring agencies, and so there's really no boundaries anymore. But one of the things that we found over the years that has been very helpful is our departments as a whole have been very intentional about having us work together so that we could understand each other's nuances, and so that, because believe it or not, even though a city's right next to you, the way that they may do something may be different than the way you do it. It achieves the same result, the same type of excellence, but the way that they perform it is different, and just like in a dance. And so now we're dancing with these other departments, and we want to make sure that when you're stepping, I'm stepping, and I need to know how you're stepping so I can move my foot, and I learn your nuances. And that's exactly what those wildland drills do for us, is they help us to understand our partners, and they get to understand us. And that's why you see 100% seamless execution in putting out fires, is because we're very intentional about making sure that we know each other. And so we always like to say how incredibly grateful we are for all of our other fire partners, including SDG&E, the sheriffs, having those helicopters and other things like that get to help us when things, so that things don't get out of control. So.
Captain Faulk, you brought up something interesting when you're talking about the apps. Obviously, these apps have evolved. Many people have different apps that they follow, but what is the one that San Diego Fire Rescue recommends that if there's a fire that breaks out, that they download on their phone today to get those up-to-date minutes on evacuations?
Perfect. So that's a great question, and we get that question quite a bit. There's a lot of apps out there, but the two that we endorse, there is the website called Alert San Diego. That is a website where you actually put your information in, and any emergency in the county of San Diego, you will get alerted if you are within that jurisdiction. And you will get that alert, you will get that reverse 911 call, you will get alerted, and then that will also push you to what's called the Genesis app. There's a Genesis app that we highly recommend everyone download, and that is like a real-time app to where it shows you what zone you're actually living in and are you affected. And the really cool part about the Genesis app is, let's say you have a family member in a different part of San Diego, or you want to keep track of your kids at school, you can actually add different locations, so you'll be alerted with any one of those family members or friends that you feel like need maybe a little extra help or you want to keep track of. You can have that awareness like 24/7 with that app, as long as you turn that notification on. And again, on the website, there's links to Instagram, there's links to how to download it, there's links to how to add family members. It's really a step-by-step process. And again, we just logged onto it just right before this interview just to make sure how easy it is. And it's like, wow, okay, my 11-year-old kid could figure this out. So that was a great thing.
And I think what's important too is you said to know what zone you're in. Mm-hmm. And today we could actually find out what zone you're in, because I think a lot of the times when there's a fire breaks out and it says, evacuation zone 12 or whatever, you don't know what zone that is. It used to be street names, neighborhoods, but for efficiency purposes, they've now switched them to evacuation zones. So I think that's probably important too, to know what zone you're in and those that you're following.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. So when the zones are drawn in a geographic range, and a lot of times they're, blocked by streets or canyons or rims. So what you don't want to do is we don't want to alert people that aren't affected by it. And that's why we build these zones. And we can even break down the zones even further if only part of that zone community is affected. So what we don't want is for everyone to panic in that whole area saying, oh, we all need to get out. No, it's the certain people right now might get that evacuation order. The others might just get that, alert or warning saying, hey, it's almost like you don't have to leave yet, but be prepared.
Which is really important for evacuation, because you don't want this bottlenecking happening. Yep. I mean, obviously you want people to get out when they should, but those that are under the warning, let's get them out first so we don't have, that holdup. So if someone has done nothing to prepare, they're at home, they're wondering, oh my gosh, what is step one that I need to do today? Let's say they have an hour to get out. 30 minutes, and then no time?
Well, I would say one of the first things is to realize that it can happen to you. I think that's one of the dangers in general in the work that we do. It's a common defense mechanism to think that whatever you're talking about is not going to happen to me. And so I think it's important to realize that it could. Preparedness is really, really important. So I think the first thing is we want to make sure that I think to myself right now, if just the average person's thinking right now that may be watching this or listening to it, if you had to go home right now and you had 1 hour, you don't have to make a list. You just think to yourself, if you right now had to go home and you had 1 hour to take what is important to you, what would you prioritize, right? Think about that. If you had 15 minutes, there's an order, you need to leave your home and you need to leave right now. What would you take? Think about that. Just think to yourself, are you going to prioritize that photo that you really love? Or are you going to make sure that you have your medications? Or are you going to get your passports? Or do you know where your kids, whatever is? And you cannot, it's not impossible, but it's really difficult to make
smart decisions
in the middle of chaos. You can't do that. And so I think I can speak for the entire department or anybody in the country, your own families, to think about that right now. And I'll say this also, that type of preparedness even helps us on our regular daily medical aids. When we go to someone's house and medications are all over the house and you don't really know what you want to say, you don't know how to give us a story of what's wrong with your loved one. Well, a lot of times Eric, who's a paramedic, he can go in and look at the list of medications that you have and make certain determinations and then ask you questions. So there's multiple reasons why you're going to be prepared, but for wildfires, they happen right now. You need to get out of your house and you can't wait until we give you the order to be able to do it. That's the whole idea of being ready. Ready, set, go. Being ready is doing that right now.
Having that list maybe today, your hour list, your 15-minute list, and your 0 list, because, a lot of us know in the midst of chaos, it really is hard to think clearly.
Sure.
But so what should be in your go bag?
Go bag.
That's his favorite topic.
I've heard this laundry basket.
He has one in his car right now.
I've heard this laundry basket.
He has his
thing.
work go bag and he has his personal go bag.
Yeah.
This is his thing right here.
That may be true, but
I know it's true.
One of the biggest things is, what do you need for just that emergency, life-saving, needs of, okay, I need our food, I need some non-perishable food, some water. And then what people don't forget often is like a phone charger or their medication or their pet medication or the plan how to get their pet out of there. Those are things that a lot of times we'll get the public evacuated and then they'll come to us out on the fire line, outside the area, and they're like, hey, we need to get back in our home because our pet medication is there, or my phone's going to die, I can't talk to someone. Having those things, for me, those are the big ticket items. Getting your first, just making sure that you're able to survive for a few hours on your own, just with some snacks and some food, so phone charger, medications, pet supplies, and then those important documentation, right? Driver's license, passport, any type of important papers that you feel man, if my home burned down, this would be a really tough time getting some of this stuff back. That would be the initial part of the go bag.
And I think you can actually pack your go bag today, you're talking about, with your clothes, your perishable items. That's something that you can just put away today.
Yeah.
Go in your junk drawer and find that old phone charger that probably still works with your phone, so you can put that in your go bag as well. And then maybe in your go bag, have that list of things not to forget, the pet medication, any other types of medications, those important documents. Maybe have that. Where should you put the go bag?
Sure. In a place that's accessible. I want to just say, too, just if somebody's like, oh, I didn't take the list, or I don't know what, go to redcross.com. Red Cross has, they have a list that you could print out so that you can kind of think through that stuff. But the go bag should be where it's accessible. You know what I mean? I don't know. That kind of depends on per family. Maybe you have a little closet where you keep your jackets and whatever, and you just keep something like that. Maybe it's difficult to keep. People may feel like, I don't want to keep perishable food in my, maybe you should, or maybe you shouldn't. I don't know, but you at least want to put it somewhere where you're not going to forget it. And then all of a sudden you're panicking and you don't know. Put it by the front door if you can keep it there. It just sort of depends where a person, and how big it is too. Don't make it ridiculous, but you definitely should have something where if you need to go, you can grab it right away and it's on your way out.
Who's at most risk when it comes to wildfires?
Yeah.
So the homes that are next to the canyon rims, we always see these nice, beautiful homes next to the canyons, around thick vegetation. In the fire side, we call it, wildland-urban interface. But really, what that means is homes next to vegetation. So even if you could not be on a canyon rim, but if your home's in the middle of the city but has lots of trees, really thick brush around the property that's non-defensible, and then we're also looking at, some people still have these type of roofs that are like wood shingled roofs that are easily combustible. On those hot days, those hot embers can really start fires really quickly. So it's really important for people to be aware of that defensible space. That's important to keep your home safe, to keep firefighters able to go in and fight that fire in your resident, or keep your residents safe when a fire comes through, because there are certain homes that we triage out and it's like, man, the homes are surrounded by trees and the trees are on top of the roofs. There's no way we can defend this home.
Right.
So it's really important for the public to be aware, as a property owner, you want to just make sure that give the fire department the best tools that we can to keep your home safe.
Yeah.
What do you do with people who refuse to leave their home?
Yeah, well, and I wanted to add too, some people who are vulnerable are people who may not be as mobile as other people.
So check on your
typically
neighbor.
our elderly population, right? People who are maybe have some type of injury or something else that allows them from moving really fast. They are those are some of the other folks, like you said, check on your neighbors. One of the things we tell people, to answer your question, if you get an order to leave, there's a reason why we ask. There's a reason why that order's there. The people that make these decisions are people, and our homeowners. Firefighters are normal, regular people who understand. Whenever we go to these big fires, at least I know I do, and I've been to some humongous wildland fires over my career, and I've seen the devastation, and I can't help but to think, if this happened to me, like, my God. So there's an empathy that goes out to people. So when we give an order, we're not trying to be mean. We don't have a personal vested interest in it. When it becomes personal, if you will, and it's still not personal, is when you decide not to leave. And what happens is, as Captain Faulk said, we want to give the fire department the best chance. We have a philosophy in our department. We do the most good for the most people. Mm-hmm. And so when we give an order, the expectation is that you will follow that order and that you will leave. And if you don't, we have to tell you, we cannot come back in to save you. We have determined that this area is an area that's going to be devastated by the fire. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully our predictions are always wrong, but they're typically right. And so if you choose not to go, then your safety is on you now. We can't send people back in there to risk their lives for that. If you're caught in something, there's a whole different story, but we have to make a risk versus gain decision whenever we're putting our firefighters' lives at risk. We have to decide, is it worth the risk? How do we know someone's there or not? So just listen to the people. And one last thing I'll say, the reason why that's so important, and in your brain you're thinking, I need to save this stuff, I need to do this, I'm not going to leave, I'm going to use my water hose to water my roof. And what happens is once you realize, oh boy, I'm in trouble, now all your senses are certainly, like, they're not heightened, they're diminished, because now you're panicking and you get in your vehicle and you're driving faster than you think you're driving. You don't know the street like you think you know it in the condition that you're in.
Because it's smoky, you don't know, you can't see the street signs,
and before
you don't know who's
it,
in front of you.
You hit something and it's a firefighter that's on the side of the road thinking that everybody's gone. Mm-hmm. So when we say to leave, please just follow the order and leave. It's really that simple. It's not worth your life, and it's not worth one of the people that I've spent my career getting to know. It's not worth Captain Faulk's life. It's not worth any firefighter from any department around the country. It's not worth their life, so please leave. I know it's a long answer, but we just have to reiterate that.
It's important, you know. I mean, I think we face people who do this often, and we understand why. Yep. But at the end of the day, you don't want to see, like, we see this terrifying video of people trying to escape a fire, and it was just too late. It travel too fast. That's why, especially now, I think San Diego does such a good job on their evacuation warnings or when to issue those, because you're getting out in enough time to where you're not over stimulated, or not even overstimulated, but it's not overtaken by the fire. You have a safe enough time to get out. Everyone can get out. I think another important thing is when we talk about is when a fire first breaks out, how does it get its name from there? You start hearing terms like containment, perimeter, forward progress, stopped, a lot of fire lingo. But I sat down with CAL FIRE last year to kind of talk to them about this, to break down what those updates actually mean. So let's watch this story.
That's private information, Abbie. We can't tell you.
I know, that's CAL FIRE, but so let's watch the story, and then I think we have some important takeaways from it as well, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts.
Of course.
When fires break out across San Diego County, we throw out terms like containment and the forward rate of spread has been stopped. But what does that mean? It can get confusing. So I came straight here to CAL FIRE to get the answers. Tonight, we're working for you on the fire terminology you need to know. First things first, how do fires get their names? Well, it's usually the street or landmark where it started. Dispatchers keep names short for quick radio communication, like last week's Lakeside fire that was Monty, not El Monte fire.
In the event a fire is named a multi-syllable word or two words, that could delay radio traffic just based off of the length of the name.
Now, for the terms you hear most, contained, a forward rate of spread has been stopped, controlled, and out. CAL FIRE Captain Robert Johnson says contained means the fire is surrounded by barriers, either fire lines crews built or natural breaks like roads, lakes, and ridges. Now, here's where it gets tricky. When you hear 25% contained, that means barriers surround a quarter of the fire's edge, but that does not mean it's 25% out.
If you have 25% containment, 50% containment, it doesn't mean that we're out of the woods yet. There still is hot spots that tend to be burning within the perimeter.
Here's a question that firefighters get a lot. Why does containment remain the same? Well, they say containment can stay at 25% while a fire keeps growing. It all depends on the barrier and whether the forward rate of spread has stopped.
This does not mean the fire is contained or controlled. It just means that the predominant active side of the fire is not actively growing.
Controlled means 100% contained with flames extinguished and fuel cleared, but crews still watch for hot spots.
And once those hot spots are extinguished and safe, then the incident commander may say the fire is now under control.
Finally, out means no hot spots, no smoke, the fire is completely dead.
Once a fire has 100% containment lines around the perimeter of the fire and all the hot spots within the fire's perimeter have been extinguished and the fire is controlled, now the fire is considered to be out.
Now that you understand these fire terms, you can better follow what firefighters are up against and how it may impact your livelihood the next time a wildfire hits San Diego. Working for you in Rancho San Diego, Abbie Black, CBS 8.
Well, we can go home now. I mean, pretty much. Thank you, CAL FIRE. Once again, they save the day. That's what they tend to do all the time. You got to love CAL FIRE. Great fire department. Shout out to our
great
CAL FIRE
partnerships.
100%.
But, as we're listening to the story, I thought we had 10 years ago, we didn't hear this forward rate of progress. I see that on X a lot and social media. So let's kind of go over that again of what forward rate of progress has been stopped. I see that, I'm like, woohoo.
Correct. And it's really important to know that forward rate of progress means that it's the head of the fire, like the most active part, and it's either driven by wind or topography. And then it stops, like either by hand lines or by a helicopter drop, by, a lot of different coordination. And we just knock that head of the fire. That means that first, big swoop going towards the neighborhood is safe. But that doesn't mean the whole fire is safe, and that doesn't mean the perimeters aren't still active, and there still might be hot spots that we need to be aware of. So that's one of the things that the incident commander really, is hesitant to say the forward progress of a fire has stopped until we really know that head has really been knocked down. But again, that does not mean that the fire is completely knocked down, and there are firefighters actively fighting active fire on other flanks of the fire.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important to know is that, we're not always completely out of the woods yet in the sense of getting that fire out. We've made a lot of progress. So, as a reporter, when I see that, I'm like, okay, well, at least it might be good news that they've got better control of it.
Sure.
we won't need to be called out to it, or maybe there's no one in danger as far as like structures go.
Sure.
We've talked a lot about evacuations and what people should know when they evacuate, but let's get back to that ready, set, go. What does that actually mean and look like?
So ready means to just be ready. First question you ask, it's just understand that, yes, it could happen to you. It could happen to you. And then set is if things are kind of happening and there's the potential that you're going to have to be evacuated. And most people would know that, right? They would know. Whether they accept it or not is a whole different question, but most people would know that. And then go is leave, and leave early. So be ready. Yes, it can happen to me. Uh-oh, it might be happening to me. It's happening to me. That's ready, set, go. So go. And so that, again, it all goes back to preparedness. That's part of being prepared, is being mentally prepared. And so, yeah, that's the basic. I just want to go back real quick and just a quick plug to say how essential our helicopters are.
I was just thinking that as you're talking to me.
Well, as you're talking about forward rate of progress, and I'm thinking about how, and I wish we did a better job, and that's probably something we should focus on this year, really talking about the absolute impact that our helicopter, not just in wildfires, but specifically since we're talking about this, the ability of the helicopter to stop some devastation, it is monumental, the work that they do, the absolute skill of our pilots and the crew chiefs to be able to decide where and when to drop. I just did an exercise with them, or I just did some filming with them, and to see them doing the things that they do, I don't know our city would be in trouble without our helicopters. They are such an important asset. So I just needed to say that. For the forward rate of spread really made me think of when they drop 1,000 gallons of water on the head of a raging inferno, it makes a huge difference.
I think that's really giving you guys a leg up as well when we think about how evacuations and wildfire preparedness has evolved in the last 20 years. When you look at what your aerial firefight is like right now, is pretty incredible, and the technology that's involved in it as well. For
sure. There's a lot of it. And one of the things that's really neat about this is that helicopters are able to go places that feet can't go. You think about it, some of these fires are deep in the canyon or way at the top of a hill that's inaccessible. And the helicopter buys us sometimes an hour. It can give us an hour of time to get from the street to where this fire is. And so technology has helped a lot. We talk about these apps. We talk about but certainly there's nothing beats an active mind that actually knows what to do and trains as professional in this. And just shout out to, obviously, our fire department for sure, but all the other agencies in California that are doing what they can to minimize the devastation.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, but if there's one takeaway, what is the one thing that every person should know today and do today?
One is that Captain Faulk was a tennis player in college, and he's a tall drink of water, and he's athletic. That's the one thing I would like to leave.
The one thing that I would like to leave with is, if you please download the app, turn on the notification, be aware. In that set, when you're in that ready, set, go model, when you're in the set phase, this is where you're actively looking at your phone, watching the TV, getting those updates, and when it's time to leave, have your stuff already packed to go. Or if you feel like you have like an older, parent or someone that needs a little extra time, you might be leaving in the set time instead of the go time.
I think that's incredible. Even as a reporter, I hear a lot of this stuff every day. I always say, after I do these stories, okay, I'm going to go home and get my go bag. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was on the Genesis app is you can download that now, save your different zones, and know what zone you live in. Because as a reporter, when sometimes I hear these zones, I'm like, I don't know what that means, so then I'm like zooming in, trying to find the street. And so I think for me, that's what I'm going to do today. I want to know, what zone do I live in? What zone does my husband work in? What zone is my daughter's school in? That kind of thing. Is there anything else that you think that we need to cover today and make a mention of?
I think that, the app, get on the app and just play around with it. Get a little bit comfortable with it. Realize that the ease of use, what it can do, figure that out now. and then, spend a little time on it. Don't just wait until the event happens to go back to it. Look at it every once in a while. But the other thing is to take these things seriously. Pay attention. If you have the opportunity to clear brush from around your home and to prepare your structure, to do that. Give your home and give your neighbor's home the best chance of survival that you can now. Do those kinds of things now and just be prepared. Don't wait for the moment, because when the moment happens, most of us don't meet the moment when it happens. So let's be prepared to meet the moment.
Well, Captain Shanley, Captain Faulk, thank you for being here today and for everything that you and your department do to keep San Diego safe. We are forever grateful and thankful. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Abbie, for having us. We appreciate everything you do. You're amazing.
Yep.
I'm Abbie Black, and thanks for watching The Backstory.